To truly understand the magnitude of Percy Julian's achievements, we have to transport ourselves back to the world he was born into. Montgomery, Alabama, 1899. This was the heart of the Jim Crow South, a place where the color of your skin dictated the boundaries of your life. Percy was the grandson of an enslaved person, and the society around him was designed from the ground up to limit his potential. For African American children, education was often a luxury, and a complete one was nearly impossible. The public school system for black children stopped at the 8th grade. An 8th grade education. That was the ceiling society tried to impose on a mind that would one day reshape an entire industry. But the Julians were a family that valued knowledge above all else. They knew education was the only path forward. So Percy and his siblings attended a private teacher's training school, the only local option for a high school level education. Even then, his ambition outstripped the opportunities available. When he was accepted into DePaul University in Indiana, he had to take remedial high school classes in the evening just to catch up with his white peers. He wasn't allowed to live in the college dormitories. He had to find a room off campus and took on menial jobs like waiting tables and digging ditches just to pay his way. Imagine the sheer mental fortitude required to excel in advanced chemistry and a full university course load while being treated as an outcast and working grueling manual labor. Yet Percy Julian didn't just survive, he thrived. He graduated in 1920, first in his class, a Phi Beta Kappa honors graduate. He was, by any objective measure, a star. But in 1920s America, even a star couldn't outshine the darkness of racial prejudice. Despite his flawless academic record, every graduate school he applied to for his doctorate turned him down. The reason was stated with a brutal, unapologetic frankness. They had never had a black PhD student, and they weren't about to start. Can you imagine the frustration? To be the best, to prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt, and still be told no simply because of your race. For years, Julian was forced to take up teaching positions at historically black colleges. A brilliant mind, capable of revolutionary research, was being held back. But Percy Julian was not a man who accepted limitations. If America wouldn't give him a PhD, he would go elsewhere. In 1929, he secured a fellowship and traveled to the University of Vienna in Austria. Here, finally, he was judged not by his skin color, but by the content of his intellect. He immersed himself in the study of natural products chemistry, the art of isolating and understanding chemicals found in plants. In 1931, he earned his PhD and returned to the United States, a world-class chemist ready to make his mark. His first major challenge came in the form of a chemical puzzle that had stumped scientists for decades: the total synthesis of physostigmine. This compound, found in the calabar bean, was the only effective treatment for glaucoma, a disease that causes blindness. However, relying on the bean as the only source made the drug rare and expensive. The race was on to create it artificially in a lab. Julian, now a professor at Howard University, entered the fray against the most eminent chemist of the era, Sir Robert Robinson of Oxford University. It was a David versus Goliath battle. In 1935, in a masterstroke of chemical artistry, Julian published a series of papers detailing his flawless 11-step synthesis of physostigmine. He had not only succeeded, but he had also found a small error in Robinson's own work, cementing his reputation on the world stage. He had solved the puzzle. He had won. This triumph should have secured him a prestigious university position for life. Instead, academic politics and racism intervened yet again, forcing him out of the university world. But this setback led to the single greatest opportunity of his career. In 1936, he took a job as the director of research for the Glidden Company, a major paint and varnish manufacturer. A black man directing a major lab of white scientists was virtually unheard of. It was at Glidden that Julian would pivot from pure academic chemistry to industrial-scale innovation that would touch millions. His task was to find new uses for the humble soybean. And one day, a happy accident occurred. A water leak in a massive 100,000-gallon tank of purified soybean oil had resulted in a solid white mass. While others saw a costly mistake, Julian saw an opportunity. He analyzed the substance and discovered it was packed with stigmasterol, a type of plant steroid. At that moment, the entire field of medicine shifted. Why? Because at the time, critical steroid hormones like progesterone, essential for preventing miscarriages and later used in birth control, and cortisone, a miracle drug for rheumatoid arthritis, were astronomically expensive. They had to be extracted in tiny amounts from thousands of animal glands. The cost put them out of reach for almost everyone. Julian realized that the stigmasterol from his soybean sludge was the perfect starting material, a chemical blueprint to create these vital human hormones cheaply and in massive quantities. He developed a groundbreaking industrial process that allowed Glidden to produce pounds of progesterone, which had previously only been available in tiny, precious milligrams. The price plummeted. A drug that was once worth more than its weight in gold became affordable. He later developed a similar synthesis for cortisone, which a major drug company had been producing for $200 per gram. Julian's soybean process could make it for just a few dollars. This wasn't just good chemistry, it was a humanitarian revolution. He made modern medicine accessible. He turned a paint ingredient into a source of life and relief for millions. Even with this incredible success, his fight was not over. When he and his family moved into the upscale, all-white neighborhood of Oak Park, Illinois, their house was firebombed twice. But Percy Julian, the man who had faced down the KKK, the academic elite, and the toughest chemical challenges of his day, refused to be intimidated. He and his family stood their ground, and he went on to found his own hugely successful company, Julian Laboratories, becoming one of the first black millionaires in America. Percy Julian's legacy is monumental. He held over 130 patents. He was the first African-American chemist inducted into the National Academy of Sciences. But his true legacy isn't written in awards or patents. It's written in the lives he improved. It's in the arthritis patient who can walk without pain, the family that was able to have a child, and the accessibility of medicines we now take for granted. He proved that genius knows no race, and that perseverance, fueled by a brilliant mind, can indeed change the world.
If you found the story of Percy Julian as inspiring and important as we did, please show your support by hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel for more stories of forgotten geniuses, and ringing that notification bell. Your support helps us bring these incredible histories to light. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.